Access granted.
Subject: Hasbro G.I. Joe Team Q&A. Body: on 4/14/2021, a team of specialists comprising of Chris from the Full Force and Carson from 3D Joes interviewed the Hasbro G.I. Joe team consisting of Halle, Ben, Paul and Lenny. Here's what we could show from this G14 classified interview.
Access granted.
Chris, you want to lead off?
I'll start then. Okay, so I'm not kissing up, I swear. I've kind of put out a little APB to a bunch of the guys on the show to see kind of what questions they want to ask you, the team. And considering we had that Q&A a number of months ago now, I was kind of wanted to do a little bit of kind of follow up on some of those questions, if that's cool with you guys. One of them that was asked in the Q&A last time was about the Target exclusives and all of the like the numbers for the actual product. They weren't like as much as you wanted them to be in terms of like that number. And you said that you were going to make, you were making kind of like plans to increase those numbers for Target exclusives, specifically, like, for exclusives. I just wondered if that was had you successfully done that? Because it appeared as though Firefly and Viper were a lot easier to come by than some of the figures previously in the Target exclusive. So I wondered if you can talk on that a little bit, if you can actually talk about the increase of those numbers, if that actually did happen, if you can talk about it.
Yeah, we're actually excited to share with you guys here. If you tune in Yojo June coming in the next several weeks, we'll actually have some specific news about reruns, reissues of a lot of the figures that were hard to get, most specifically the Target figures.
Amazing.
So stay, tuned out to our social channels and stuff. Halle and Paul are working on some exciting, new assets, new images, and announcements in partnership with Target, as well as some other new figures that are on the horizon that we may not answer questions about specifically today. So a lot coming in Yojo June. So you only have about 6 weeks to wait.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
We can say that there will be a pretty big announcement on specifically the Cobra Island figures in a rerun.
It's going to be a very busy and exciting summer for G.I. Joe fans.
Apparently so, yeah. Weird that. Weird.
Yeah, it's funny how things work out.
Yeah. Well, I will say as well, sorry, I should have said at the start, thank you, all of you guys, not just for this little opportunity, just in general for what you've been doing. I know Carson probably feels the same. I'm going to speak on your behalf, Carson. I'm sure, we love what you guys are doing, and we really appreciate what you're doing in this very difficult time as well. Like Carson and I understand those scenarios as well. Like, I just wanted to say thank you very much for that. Anyway, sorry. Carry on, Carson. You were going to say, mate.
I mean, absolutely. I'm buying 2 of everything, including the boxes. So I appreciate it. I'm also happy to announce that we're going to be documenting all that on 3D Joe's 6, the number 6, and an IN for inch. So 3D Joe's 6-inch is going to be all classified. So
amazing.
That will all be spinning through your archives forever. So thank you guys.
Does Lenny get royalties for that?
No, I don't get royalties for anything. I just get more work.
He gets a lifetime membership to a free website. So for whatever that's worth.
Awesome.
I have absolutely loved everything that you've made. I think, yes, the number one beef in the community is availability, and that's a good problem to have, right? Like, your product is so good that everybody wants it, and the number one problem is that they can't get their hands on it. So thank you guys for addressing that. You can confirm quickly, I believe, that that's not really on you, though. Like, when the Target exclusives are hard to find, that's because Target chose that number of products, right? Hasbro doesn't put a cap on it. If they would have ordered to the moon and back, you guys would have provided that product, correct?
I think, everything we do is in partnership, with ourselves and the trade. And I think we were all pleasantly surprised with how many fans wanted these products, whether they're Joe fans or 6-inch fans, because we've seen a lot of that too, right? A lot of crossover fandoms that may not have been Joe fans are appreciating the work that the team's done. So I would say, we were surprised across the board. I mean, you guys are seeing sellouts of the Amazon item, the Pulse items, everything went out. And it's a matter of how quickly can we get back into a rerun plan. And some items we were able to do it quicker than others. And there's a lot of factors in that. And again, I would never lay blame just to a retailer. Obviously COVID did have impact as we Hasbro have announced that, to the industry. And so, I think, all of our retailers are excited to, fulfill the fan demand. And then just for some collections, it may just take a little bit longer than others. So like I said, we're excited the next couple of months. I think we'll put a lot of products out for you guys to burn your wallets dry.
Too late.
So I don't want to go down a rabbit hole or push too hard on something that you guys might not be able to talk about at all. But of course, I have to ask. We've seen some leaks from some third party vendors of licensed products, for example, showing Major Blood's artwork. Is there anything that you can talk about officially in any capacity about characters that are coming? Maybe even to be as vague as to say there's a lot of retro-inspired Real American Hero characters coming, or can you get more specific?
Can you just tell us what's coming?
Tune in to Yojo June, right, Haley, Paul?
Yep.
All right, so we can't do kind of forward-looking questions, Chris.
Yeah,
I have a very current question. Let me get one more in, and then we'll
go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so you announced a 6-inch line of products, which I was very excited about, that are $9.99. When the prices were leaked for the upcoming characters for the movies that were $9.99, I think a lot of people mistakenly thought those were going to be 4-inch, kind of 25th style figures, and we now know they're 6-inch figures with new articulation. Can you talk about some of the decisions that prompted, or some of the discussions that prompted that decision to make that $9.99 product a 6-inch product versus a 4-inch product?
Who wants it?
Lenny, you've been crushing it.
I've answered that question a couple of times.
It seems to be the number one curiosity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the newest thing about it, and it's for the future of G.I. Joe, because it's hardcore directed at kids, right? So, and that is part of the reason why it is 6-inch. If you think about the Marvel lines, my daughter this morning brought me Spider-Man because I bought a Gwen Stacy figure of a different line. And she's like, well, I bought you Spider-Man, Dad. And she brought me her 6-inch Spider-Man figure, right? So if you think about it, we're just playing to the trend. And like I was mentioning earlier, G.I. Joes were not the first 3 3/4-inch figures. They were the best 3 3/4-inch figures. They took articulation to the next level, and they took play to the next level. However, they were going on a trend at the time, and that's what kids were playing with. And then that's where plastic costs were at, right? They were like, we got to make these things smaller, right? So I think we're playing on the trend of 6-inch. So if a kid's got a Spider-Man in their toy box, they're going to the store, they see a commercial, they see this awesome ninja who's clad in black, clad in white, these awesome like bad guys. It's like, Mom, Dad, can I have that too to go with my other figures? And then it just happens to play with it very nicely. So that was the decision there. The second part of that is we kind of have our Kung Fu grip, right? That's what the Ninja Strike feature is, right? So we have our Ninja Strike feature, and then we wanted to add something extra because it's G.I. Joe, and if it's classified or kid, we're putting details all over them. We're going to go nuts with them because when I was a kid, it's what I loved. And the designer Edgar, who did an amazing job on those figures, he had the same vibe with it too, where it's like, how can we detail them? Even though it's a kid toy, it doesn't need to be simplified. It still can look, I want to say the word badass, and it still can look that way. But at the same time, Edgar really wanted to play in a lot of cool features. That's why there's the port in the back, the feet, there's the swivel attack, and then all the accessories snap together. So that's a really cool ninja build system there, because we were going for this next gen ninja, the whole idea of Snake Eyes. So what is a next gen ninja? Ninjas use tools for the trade. Anybody can be a ninja. I could be a ninja. But they take what they have in the area to take out their target. So I think Edgar I think he knocked it out of the park with those figures.
I'm going to make a T-shirt for you, Lenny, that says, in quotes, "I can be a ninja."
Anybody can be a ninja. I can be a ninja.
My burliness and my beard, I'm a ninja.
Yeah. I loved your role play presentation, man, where you were taking the toys out and playing with the action features and the Snake Eyes movie stuff. Harkening back to the original kind of Ninja Force with all the play features was awesome. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah,
all right.
Again, good job, man.
Yeah, no, you guys, and the presentation was amazing. You could tell you were genuinely excited about it. That was contagious. So
okay, so one of the other things that kind of popped up in speaking to a couple of the presenters beforehand was the retro line and any 4-inch plans. So we were just kind of wondering if are there any 4-inch plans for like modern figures, like in either the movie line. I understand if you can't say specifically, but like, you know, plans, or and also is it likely that we'll see more retro in the future as well?
And to pile on that, what we know, what has been leaked already is
Sorry.
Wave 4. No, I don't think that was you. I think that was actually his tank.
Good.
Was that there was 4 or 3 names teased for Wave 4. They're obviously code names: Atlas, Leo, and Meteor. I think that was leaked by Walmart pricing or something like that. So, is there still a Wave 4 coming, and is there more?
Well, you guys believe everything on the internet, huh?
We do.
Oh, okay.
I believe all the stuff I make up.
Yeah. we will have continued figures coming in the retro collection that we'll share more this summer. Like I said, we have a big summer of new news and a big back half. But specifically, who those code names are, happy deciphering.
Already worked out.
Happy deciphering.
Yeah.
So back into Lenny, what Lenny was talking about, the kind of thing of the day in '82 was 3 3/4 was selling with Star Wars, and it was a proven thing. So G.I. Joe, Hasbro did that with G.I. Joe. Hasbro also famously in 1982 was like, this is a vehicle line, and those figures are an accessory, and our most profitable items are the vehicles, and we're making figures to go with those vehicles. Our vehicles, now that 6 inches the way of the future, is there any probability we'll see any vehicles for these 6-inch figures beyond like a very small figure pack in like the Baroness's cycle?
I think design question wise, it's figuring them out, right? Sorry, we have a guest.
Hey, cool.
That was if you saw his paw, that was a little paw that was touching.
It's like, hey, pay attention.
I think a lot of it is like we have to study, we have to get it right. If you've noticed something classified, we're very detail driven and we're very function driven. Like we want these figures to articulate, we want functionality, we want detail, we want layering, if you will. So we're in bikes right now, and it's like, how do we get those right? And I think even the coil itself, is, for me, is like our step to the door of like, how are we going to start? Yeah, I mean, how are we going to get there? So I think the media question is how we're going to get there.
Yep.
Ben, am I saying too many things?
Too late now. You said it.
Of course, a designer wants to do it. There's always the budget people that are going to tell you whether or not you can actually do it and sell it.
There's never, and I think what's fun about this collective team here, there's not an us versus them mentality.
Sure.
I think that's what's been fantastic about the work a lot of us done on Transformers and now on G.I. Joe. We all have one vision for where we want to take the brand across toy to content, comic, games, and everything. And it's a matter of just timing and pacing it out. I think we've said before, we want Joe to be available in a product form, not just in story form, for a lot of years. And to do that, we need to pace out, right? We can't, you guys have seen how, I was talking to someone recently, if you did a inventory of what brands were in the aisle and available in this action space 5-7 years ago and looked at it today, it's almost completely different. Other than, Transformers and very few that have been on shelf and present, every year. And that is just having the right pacing plan. So that's how we're looking at it. And I think we all geek out a little bit on what we want, but, a lot of what we work with Paul and team too is seeding the right things in story, where we can create new, and creating that. And a lot of it's retugging it. You guys obviously are out there buying, but we really need to rekindle even that nostalgia bug with fans from the 80s and 90s that have forgotten that they haven't made purchases in this brand. So, we need to hit them with stories, games, other things like the Fortnite droppies, and, to rebuild that base. So, and then we'll continue to expand. But for us, this isn't just a surge and purge. This is about, longevity.
Well, I got to say that stuff works.
Sorry, Carson. Just to Ben's point, we're going to be having this whole new audience coming in of kids from the Snake Eyes feature film. So we want something that kids can latch onto, not just in a movie year, but beyond. And we want to introduce these iconic characters, to kids So, we're doing that in the film, obviously, with Snake Eyes and Scarlet and the Baroness, but there's a whole world of G.I. Joe characters that these kids have no clue who they are.
Right.
So to have, to Ben's point about strategically spreading out these offerings, and also opportunities to incorporate them into the entertainment and content that we're creating, whether that be future feature films, the TV show coming out with Amazon Prime, publishing, there's so many different outlets that people are consuming their content through, that we just want to give our fans, our current fans, and then this whole wave of new fans that we're expecting coming in from Snake Eyes, the opportunity to, fall in love with these characters just like you guys have. I'm fairly new to the brand, and I was a Power Rangers kid. So, but just diving into this world of G.I. Joe, like, I'm into these characters. Like, I love them. I think they're awesome. I want to be them. So I can only imagine, what other people will think after seeing this movie, especially kids.
Fantastic. I would wholeheartedly recommend Larry Hama's first 60 issues of the Marvel run if you haven't read that yet. And then also IDW's Cobra run by Christos Gage and Anthony Costa. Brilliant storytelling. I was hoping you guys would translate that into a Netflix series one day. So we are thrilled, Chris and I personally, I'll speak for Chris at this point.
Yep.
We have given years of our lives to this brand, to propping it up, shoring it up, trying to keep people excited about it, trying to document it, trying to hype it with the news. We are wholeheartedly invested because we love it, and it's great to hear you guys communicate that same amount of passion. So thank you. And to Ben's point about sucking in us old fans, 80s fans, with the retro stuff, 25th anniversary 2007 was the first time I bought a G.I. Joe product at 28 years old since I was 11 years old. So that retro packaging works. So if you want to tap that again for something other than the retro line, go for it. Anyway, so how do you differentiate? I'm going to go back to the 6-inch line that I was talking with Lenny about. How do you differentiate the $9.99 packaging from the $19.99 classified packaging? We saw the announce of the toys. We didn't see anything packaging related. Is it just going to be a simple blister card like a lot of the other products that I'm seeing, not boxed, for example?
For the core kid line?
Yeah, the $9.99 Snake Eyes 6-inch.
Haley, maybe if you can picture the box, maybe not. Maybe you have a picture you can look at but not share or share.
Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah, it won't be like, classified will be in that same, kind of structure format with the, custom art, which we're excited about. It'll be more in your traditional, like, blister card action figure style. Obviously, it's more in line with the trend and, what you would find of a kind of more kid content type product line.
I'm seeing a lot of the $9.99 or approximate Marvel stuff. I think they're doing that on more comic book style, like pen and ink comic book style artwork. So that would be an interesting way to differentiate from the very nicely rendered classified artwork that you guys have been releasing.
Yeah, I would say visually, what you'll see is more of a film inspired artwork on the kid stuff, whereas on the adult stuff is more the artist kind of individual expressive. If you looked at that, there was each piece of art had a very different vibe to it, right? In classified. So I say that's really the difference, is the kid line will more evoke like, this is the character from the screen, right? And more direct content based versus the more kind of personalized kind of story through art on the classified line.
Chris, do you have another quick one? We got 4 minutes, man.
Got loads. Next, the next thing I wanted to ask, have you guys considered G.I. Joe for the HasLab treatment? Obviously, you don't have to kind of, I know you're not going to tell me if you're doing a HasLab G.I. Joe product, but have you considered G.I. Joe as a brand for that particular phase of what you guys do at Hasbro?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Guys,
I've got a news burst to do. If you just don't mind, I'm just going to have to jump off this and do a quick news burst.
We have a yes. We have a yes. I love how much Lenny's cat loves Lenny. I mean, he is just
usually the cat's in his face. But you know what? I'm surprised. Haley, where's your cat? Usually your cat's doing the same thing.
He's not here right now. He's in a different room. He's all over it.
Y'all heard my wiener dogs. I had to yell at him. Yeah. All right, so quick question. I've got 2 bonus questions. I'll ask them quickly. Is there any possibility of ever seeing a return to O-ring construction, even if it's a very limited anniversary style release, say the 50th anniversary in 2032? I'm just asking for a possibility of a return to that form factor. At any point.
I would say stretch it, but don't dare.
Snap.
Prove to us that it's O-rings. It was interesting. I think we're always reading, like Lenny said, we're listening to podcasts, listening to forums. It was bittersweet to watch the text chat line, live on Friday. Outside of the,
I don't look at media anymore.
The positives, I say, most of the positives were bring back O-rings. So that's inspiring to us, and it's something we are discussing as a team. What makes sense? How would we do it? As at least Lenny and I, as vintage original Joe fans. I mean, I have my bag of original. They're in a bag. I don't collect them like you guys do with a wall and everything beautiful.
Yeah.
But I do have my original collection still. So
nice.
we have a desire and affinity to find the right time and way to do that. And I think the more the fandom talks about it, the more intrigued we are, and the more informed we are about what's the right way to do it, what's the right look. And right collection. So just keep talking about it, keep the conversation going on what the fandom wants, and we listen.
I think if you're looking to reinvigorate and reconnect with that 80s crowd of, now 40-year-olds with a lot of disposable income, that's going to be the easy way to tap in to the hearts and minds of those fans. If you're like, oh, wow, they're actually doing it, because, it's a fraction of the community, but they're a loud fraction and they're always calling for it. Yeah. So I would say that's going to be the number one way to tap in to that community.
I would say we're always scraping social, right? So it's like, what are people saying? And like, it's going to rise to the top. But granted, you have to take a grain of salt when, sometimes it's like the louder part of the community. But in some cases, you're like, this isn't just the louder part of the community. This is something we need to do. So we're paying attention. We're seeing what's going on, seeing what people are saying, and it's part of the research.
Great.
I do have another question that's not related to O-ring, but that's really cool to know that that's something you guys pay attention to. I really appreciate that too. As a massive G.I. Joe collector for many years, not going to give my age away just yet. What I would like to ask is something in relation to what you guys do in other 6-inch lines like Marvel Legends and Power Rangers and all those other different 6-inch lines that you guys operate in. Is it likely that you'll be incorporating things like Build-A-Figure or little mini Dio pieces and sets within Classified going forward? I mean, is that something that maybe has been discussed or talked about, or are we looking at Classified now? Are we looking at, is that what we're going to be seeing from now on going forward, or are you looking to like incorporate some of these things in the future?
I think Classified, when we kicked it off, the idea was to look at a lot like Generations.
Yeah.
Right. And Generations does this really good job of like hearkening to the past, but not doing the past verbatim. And then having features built in, year out, that like really make it's kind of like tent pole for the year.
Yeah.
So currently we are establishing G.I. Joe, right? So it's like Classified is kind of establishing the future of G.I. Joe. And we were like, weapons. I mean, if I could, I would have done them on a sprue, but like, we were like, let's see what we can get from a gear standpoint. Cause I think what separates a G.I. Joe Classified from a Marvel Legend or a Black Series is that we are gear heavy and play heavy. Like we are posable and we have our back ports, we have our feet ports, we have a lot of weapons, some characters more than others. You guys know how that goes.
Yeah.
But I think the first year out, it's like, how can we get these guys loadouts right and fun? And I think going into the future, we're going to be, I would say, looking at potential opportunities for ways to expand the line, of course.
Yeah.
And because you got to bring freshness and newness. So I think it's just kind of, it's almost like a stay tuned, like what is right to make this line go. Like I said in another interview, like 14 years, the original Joe line was for. How do we do that again? And I think that's what they were doing back then when they had the giant rocket launchers to everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what do we do?
In many iterations, to your point, the only way Kirk resuscitated that line in the early 90s was by piggybacking off of every single other popular line of that day. They did a G.I. Joe knockoff of it. Let's be honest. Jurassic Park, you got your Dino Hunters. Ninja Turtles, you got your
Ninja
Mega
Force.
No, you got your Mega Marines and Mega Mutants. Ninja Force was ripping off of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. But every single popular trope of the day, G.I. Joe leveraged that and made their own version of it. So if you happen to go to the toy aisle and look for Mortal Kombat, you actually saw G.I. Joe had Ninja Force, and that was pretty cool too. So
G.I. Joe is a fashion brand. It is like, I would say like 7 to 8% fashion design. Like look at the Dreadnoughts. They came out during Mad Max.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't handle it as a fashion line and you handle it as overly retro, I think you run into problems. And I think that's what they saw back in the day. Like if you do a map, I actually made a map of like how they like lined everything up back in the day. It's like, oh, that's weird. Terminator, I think Overkill came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, interesting. So it's like you got to be trendy, and it's like just like the movie industry is. You got to like pay attention to what the zeitgeist of your community is. Like,
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Nice to see you again.
Bye guys. Good to see you as well.
Bye.
Access granted.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.
Access granted.